Good evening. Ira Epstein with your metal market wrap-up, and this wrap-up is for the evening of Thursday, and we're at the 5th of February, 2026, 6:30 p.m. Central Time, and it's been a bloodbath this week. The stock market's come unglued. The metal market's unglued. Silver just hit $64 an ounce. You've come down in the gold market about $1,000 an ounce from its recent peak just made weeks ago. The copper market has lost $1 a pound at this point. I just heard where the Little League, where they play the Little League World Series, that vandals last night went to the stadium and stole all the copper out of the lighting. So all that poundage. How can they not have security guards at places like that? Amazing to me. In the even cameras that somebody looks at other ways. Platinum market down hard. Stock market coming unglued. There's lots of reasons why, but let's take a look at the news events and then we'll come back here. The U.S Iran talks are scheduled to take place tomorrow. I'm not holding high hopes, but the fact that they'll meet and talk together is unusual because generally when they have a meeting, the Iranians are in one room and they have an intermediary that comes back and hands messages for the Americans. That's how it's done. The fact that they'll meet face to face, that's the beginning of a talk. I don't think you should hope for a lot. I don't think it's going to fall apart either. I think it's a first stage. We'll see. University of Michigan's preliminary February consumer sentiment indices will come out at 9. What if they took the poll for that right now? What do you think that would be? Federal Reserve's going to release their monthly consumer credit data. You know, it's been jumping recently. We'll see what it does on that as well. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration issued an emergency use authorization for the drug Ivomec so that ranchers can give this to their cattle on the U.S. side. Why? That disease has to be close. You don't do that unless you see the pattern that it's getting closer, it's time to go. But what do you do for dogs, cats, people? Because once it spreads, it can affect a lot of things. Then, to make the matters even more worse, it's like the icing on the cake. Anthropic today, late in the day, says they have another new product. Now remember, they just upended the stock market by coming out with a product for the legal profession that sank a lot of the software companies that make legal software for the lawyers. Well, now they have the same thing for research firms. So Moody's, S&P Global, others, some of them down 10% in the aftermarket today. So we'll see what happens. So you're getting disruption. That's the key. So let's go back to the markets and just talk a little bit. If you like to catch a falling knife, this is your kind of market. It's not my kind of market, and it's for a lot of people not what they do. This generally hurts. It has been so violent in the silver and gold market that now both are quoted for margin purposes in commodities as a percentage of price. It used to be, oh, give us 5,000, that's your margin. No more. It's a percentage of price across the board in gold and silver. Fascinating, isn't it? As we're looking at what's going on, you know, at least it's Friday. Maybe there'll be some short covering. We don't know. We don't know what's going to come out of the Iran situation. And this market's just run on its own. In the metals, I'm looking for the dollar to peak on this news and for the euro to bottom out on it. But I can't tell you where that's going to be. I think nobody can because you're in a state of a mini panic. You're getting buying in the bonds and notes, but not dramatic. So money isn't rushing to this like the world is ending. That isn't going on. So it's more in tune with markets that went up very big, the stock market, the metal markets, and bringing them back to earth in different ways. That's what I think is going on at this point. So as we go next to the gold market, you can see on a weekly basis, it's staying over everything. And on a weekly basis, it's well off its high now. It's down 0.32% for this week alone, but certainly far away from that $5,000 mark, the highest close that it had recently. When you go to the daily bar chart, you can see the swings back and forth in here. And you can see that the pattern in the chart is one of a higher high and then a lower low, and you're trying to make something out of it. I could make an argument, and maybe I should have, that this shouldn't be here and you should have the arrows pointing down. You're in a downtrend now until 51.1390 is taken out, and that makes sense to me. The more I'm looking at it now, I was playing with it earlier, and I think that's where you're at on this. So this blue arrow on each of these charts, no, it should be pointing down in my opinion, and you've entered a pattern of lower highs, lower lows, and you are under the 18-day average of closes. If the market drops and lets go completely, could it go to the 100-day average? Yes. More likely would be the Bollinger Band if it's going to drop that much. Nobody knows. You know, what if President Trump, what if this whole thing blows up tomorrow in this meeting with Iran and the U.S. attacks Iran in some manner with our planes, our missiles, whatever it might be? You think gold's going to stay down on that news? I don't. When we take a look at the slow stochastics, when they lost their bullish momentum, the market let go. And now the market has been fighting for almost 5 weeks at that 18-day average of closes. This is the first time, or days rather, 5 days. This is the first time that the market tonight isn't hitting that number in a while. The gold-silver ratio completely changed, and as I said this morning, before today's action took place at all, I said, I don't think we're going back to visit this 43.40 level, and I said it this morning in my subscriber videos. And I was telling clients, I said, you know, I was hoping it would get to the 32 to 35 level where it had been historically, but after it's been to 104, 105 ounces of silver, and you get that far down, and you seem to have lost the momentum, stop looking for that. Now, I'm going to hold with that. In the silver, you're coming into a support area. Right now, you're down to 65.70 here. You're coming into the 62.40 area, the 100-day average in the 50 level. So I don't know the exact low or when it's going to be. But there are traders that are going to start, in my opinion, buying right now, probably layering into different size contracts. But you have to have the money to hold it. As I look at copper, it's the same thing. I should have removed this arrow. We should have lower highs, lower lows. I don't know why I missed them. I'm so involved in so much today. And in the platinum, you got to watch it. I own a brokerage firm too, a division, right? So what I have to do is I have to watch everything besides keep this and write the reports and do it. I love it. In any case, down here, and we're at an oversold condition. I'm going to repeat again. This is where bottoms start to form. That doesn't mean it can't go lower. It means that that's where you're going to find bottom pickers starting to come in. How they get peeled out, I don't know, but it wouldn't surprise me in any way, shape, or form. And I look for the dollar to peak out up here into these major moving averages. And no, I am not saying the same thing, go short there. That is not what I am saying. I'll wait on it. The currencies are one of the best trading vehicles there are. It's certainly the biggest market in the world. And I let them set up the chart patterns, and that's how I prefer to do it. So when you put this all together, it's a fascinating time. I don't know if we're going to wake up in the morning that this will be redder or if this is going to turn into the green area, because anything can happen in it. But right now, it's a washout. If you look at your stock portfolio, you know that's the game that is going on. Not everything is falling apart, by the way, and a lot of things are just holding up. But it's not the time to be a hero just yet. You'll hear people say, this is your chance to buy. I'm not saying they're wrong, but then Anthropic comes out with another statement, and boom, it wasn't the right time. I would like to get through the U.S. Iran talks and then address that. I'm Ira. Remember, you can go to our website. You can get my information for free on a trial. You can try this charting software, which is phenomenal. All you need to do is move your cursor up to the top here. There'll be an icon. You can look over here. There'll be an icon from YouTube itself, or you go to iraepstein.com. Everything you need is there. I'm Ira. Have yourself a good evening.